Hello, everyone. Welcome to Chasing a Murderer. And we're here to talk about the new information coming out attached to Lori Vallow, her case, and how the death penalty is now off the table. Now, this is something I wasn't looking forward to at all. I didn't even want to watch it or listen to it because I simply knew that all they've been waiting for prosecutors to make a mistake, which they've been struggling anyways, especially Blake. I don't know how many times she has to be corrected. And you just could tell that there was going to be loophole. There was going to be a rule there that defense was going to be able to use to help get Lori off. You got to remember that Lori's always looking for opportunities to start a tornado, basically. She's done this her entire life. This is what she's good at. And prosecutors, they didn't have time to relax. You just do not have time to relax. You have to be on your toes constantly when you're dealing with Lori Vallow. I've warned of that multiple times. And I know that many of the families attached to this case, they are devastated. And remember, I am not a lawyer. I am not anyone who is an expert at law, period. However, I understand Lori Vallow very well. Something I noticed was prosecutors on this case, they started off not so well at the very beginning. If you don't remember, Mark Means was trying to get Rob Wood thrown off the case. I really don't think that the prosecutors understood the caliber of this case and what it would entail, and how much thinking ahead it would take in order to prevail in this case. Now you got Judge Boyce, who seems to be afraid. I think he's afraid. I think he's scared to make a mistake. I'm scared that he's scared to make the wrong move and then create a worse situation in the future. But I really think him being afraid is hurting more than helping. So what we heard from the audio that come out yesterday's hearing was a lot of justification, comparison of laws and past hearings and past court dates, and how the state has the possibility of being prejudiced because they submitted audio recordings past the date that it was allowed. Judge Boyce says he don't think that the state did this intentionally or to be unethical. However, he made it seem as if he was in a position to either dismiss this case because of this or take the death penalty off the table. This is all to avoid retrial or her getting off scot-free. You got to remember that Lori Vallow, she's wanting to push for speedy trial, and she's trying to use that loophole to get her case dismissed, which didn't work. But now her attorneys, they're trying to use her mental status, her rights to a speedy trial, along with the late evidence to totally take the death penalty off the table. Let me tell you, I was not worried about that, but I knew there was a possibility it could happen. I knew they were looking for a loophole. You know that they're looking for a loophole. I was afraid to watch or listen to that hearing because I knew something was not going to turn out so well. But you guys have been commenting and saying, well, what did you get from it? And I really didn't want to look. This whole case has been a complete circus. And justice in this case, it's not there. This state was totally unprepared. They were not capable of handling this case. You knew that from the very beginning. And it's been absolutely scary for me the entire time because I keep waiting for the disaster to happen, and here it is. So let's say, they submit some evidence that's late. Is it worth taking the death penalty off the table? I mean, they're attorneys, they know better. What's going on that they submitted it knowing that it's going to be late? Do you have to submit it? That's something I'm wanting to know if you're an attorney. I guess if you have to, we know they have to submit the evidence they have to the defense. So, what it sounds like is the prosecutors, they're slacking. They didn't submit this in time. They have to submit it because I guess they chose to use this evidence. It must be important instead of say, we're not going to use this evidence. So think about this. We have so many things going wrong with this case. Now, I'm not saying this to be rude, but the female prosecutor, Blake, I've seen her time and time again make a complete fool of herself where the judge had to correct her multiple times. And this is what you got on a case like this? You're just saying, you know what, I give up. And let's not forget that Lori's defense attorneys, they're pushing not only that, if they couldn't get, according to another attorney, he said that he's surprised that Boyce took the death penalty off the table. This is something that most attorneys wouldn't expect. Lori pushing for a speedy trial didn't make sense to me anyways because she's one to stall. So if she's pushing for a speedy trial, well, it's there to benefit her in some way. Her attorneys, like I said, I don't think they were expecting that he would actually take the death penalty off the table. And so they had a backup plan. That backup plan was her mental status. And how can they use her mental status when in the state of Idaho, the insanity plea is not negotiable? And the second piece that they're using is any mistake the prosecution makes. So at first, it seemed like they submit evidence that was supposedly at the right time, just late. And if Lori wanted to proceed in a speedy trial without getting the results of the test, that should be her problem. But there's something more going on behind the scenes, I think. Are they trying to protect her because they think that her mental status is holding her back? Is there some type of deal going on? What's even scarier than the fact that the death penalty was taken off the table was the fact that there was a possibility Boyce said of dismissing the case. Did anyone hear that? So his choices were dismiss the case or take the death penalty off the table. This is insane. This is a woman that has tried to kill people since her third husband, since her daughter, Tylee Ryan, was just a year old. And these are words that witnesses say they heard come out of her mouth. There's an audio tape that said, I wanted to murder him. And now you're taking the death penalty off the table because prosecutors are overwhelmed, inexperienced, because this state is handling this case in the worst way possible. I tried my best not to frown upon the people handling this case, but now we've gone too far. These state mistakes are serious. They're causing serious consequences and taking away the chance of the correct justice the families involved with this case deserve. And if you don't know what you're doing, is there another way that you could have stepped down and let someone else take over? Do you really want to go down in history as the person that ruined the justice for two innocent children, an innocent wife, and an innocent husband? Now, guys, I'm just talking off the top of my head. I wish that I had time to actually sit down, think about what I wanted to share, and write it down. But I'm so disappointed. I've been disappointed. But I was like, they're making a mistake. Maybe they'll learn from it. Because all of them, including the defense, they all are inexperienced. They don't know what they're doing when handling this case. How in the world can Lori's incompetence, while her incompetence spells, work to her advantage and saying that this interfered with her speedy trial? How is it that they weren't more vigilant with these dates and making sure that there was no way that she could find a loophole? I've warned them, and other people I know have warned them. There's no room for any mistakes or loopholes. Even worse, he's taking out the cameras, and many of the families are forced to come out. And if I was them, I would sue families of these victims. Prepare to get the justice you need. You can't sit and wait for it. You're going to have to take it. You all need to go talking to an attorney, because you guys have been put through so much between the legal system that is failing. It has failed the entire time. This is causing you unneeded pain. This is costing your family members that are no longer here to lack justice. A woman who doesn't believe in laws is using those laws to bring her freedom and a chance to get away with murder. Allegedly, she has murdered so many people, including her own children. Some of you are asking, well, we still have Charles Vallow, right? We have that chance. We know Arizona, they do allow the death penalty. If she gets away with it here, will she continue to get away with it? Well, only thing I can say is if they do their job right in Arizona, once she faces those charges, depending on evidence that they have, and if they can bring, yeah, we can bring the death penalty, they have all these mistakes to work off of. So we have that positive to look forward to, hopefully. Another thing is, um, Lori Vallow, she has enough evidence out there, witnesses that have heard her talk about murder, attacking people, that this case should have been a slam dunk. This was an easy case in some aspects when you think about the evidence that they're collecting, the witnesses that have come forward. And not only that, let's say, they're trying to use her mental state as a defense. Well, there's enough recordings out there of Lori Vallow where she understands right from wrong. If you understand right from wrong, there's no amount of excuse using the mental illness scheme, anyways, to say she doesn't know what she's doing. Yeah, she may think that Jesus Christ is coming to get her while she rots in jail, but she also knows that murder is wrong. If she didn't believe it wasn't wrong, then why is she lying? Why does she lie to police? Why does she lie to everyone around her? Because while she might be disillusioned, she's more than capable of understanding right from wrong and understanding that murder is not okay. Of all things, the Bible, if you want to use the Bible, which she refers to, that she's that they're saying this is why she's so mentally challenged right now, states that you have no right to choose who lives and who dies. Also, she has more than enough evidence out there from witnesses saying, some of her potential motives for what she did to her children. And that was motivated by what? Work, fame, becoming a leader in the apocalypse, the second coming of Jesus Christ. She said multiple times that the kids were in her way. Charles Vallow was in her way. There's no excuse the defense can use as far as mental status that can say, hey, it's okay. She wasn't thinking straight. Lori has spent her entire life manipulating people to get what she wants at any cost. And she's good at it. My God. I mean, look at how many people, including her own niece, her own brother, they were helping her destroy her own family. How does she do it, guys? And how could you be so desperate and so pathetic that you would do something for someone that would be so evil? Lori is using these same tactics with her defense team and the courts. She plants seeds and she watches them grow. And no one knows this more than Kay Woodcock, Brandon Boudreaux. I can't imagine what is going through their mind right now. The courts are trying to say, media is the reason for a lot of this. No, 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 no. There are many people, many trials. O.J. Simpson, more. There's loads more. I can't think of them from off the top of my head right now. You cannot use this media attention as a way to say, this is destroying her defense, her justice, or use media as an excuse for taking the death penalty off the table. That's insane. This makes me want to look back at the LDS leaders and say, do you think this is okay? Because all the people, what I've noticed about the LDS is they still have Chad Daybell listed in their BYU website as one of their authors. And I wonder, is this something they want as a reminder of what their religion represents? I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want to actually see these people prosecuted to the full extent of the law. I would want to put a message out there, this is not okay at all. Before Lori was arrested, the law was not doing its job to protect those children. This has been a farce since 2019. You had people fighting tooth and nail to try to save lives, and nobody was listening. Nobody, including LDS bishops, ward leaders. It was a disaster. The law, no one. And if you think that ward leaders and bishops didn't know what was going on, well, you're wrong. They knew. They still know. In fact, Chad Daybell's sister-in-law, she said in an interview how many of them were going to their bishops and ward leaders and discussing their family problems. They also discussed how they were trying to warn church leaders of Lori and Chad and Julie Rowe's behavior. But no one took it seriously. Kate Woodcock was doing everything in her power through the law to try to prevent anything happening to her grandson. And the law just was working against her. It's just so sad. So now all we got to do is, ask, what do we expect next? Yeah, she can get, life without parole. But is that fair? No. We still have Charles Vallow, that trial to look forward to. Hopefully, they don't make these serious and unforgiving mistakes. Can the prosecutors overturn what the judge has decided? I don't know. And what about Chad Daybell? We know that Chad Daybell deserves the death penalty if he's guilty. And how is that going to be fair to him? You got to remember that in this case, they're trying to make Chad Daybell the leader. And let me tell you something. He is a follower, the biggest follower there is. He might have brought in some strange ideas. But my thoughts are this, is Lori was the leader of this entire circle. And she used people, their status, in order to get what she wanted. That's my opinion. That's the way I feel. So if you think about it, Lori had no choice. If she was to do a plea deal, this means that she would have to turn on Chad. And if she turns on Chad, then Chad's going to turn on her. That opens the door big time to turn on her. But if she can do it this way, the way that she's doing it right now, using the loopholes without having to sacrifice or name names, she gets away with a little bit more while the other one is being punished to her satisfaction. I don't understand how these people don't understand how Lori thinks, because everything, when Melanie said, she always has a plan, she always has a plan, and that is true. She's always thinking of some way to get over on someone else. That is what they're dealing with, and they'll continue to deal with. So what do you guys think? Do you feel that this is justice? Do you feel that the prosecutors know what they're doing, or maybe they don't? What about the defense? Do you think they're doing a good job, or do you think Lori's pulling the reins? And do you think that she's going to be trialed and get the full punishment she deserves if they find her guilty? And this video is all over the place. This was nothing but emotion, you guys. I wish like I said, if I would have wrote it down, it would have been a lot better. And I really am very upset about the cameras and the audio still. It's not fair to those families knowing that this is a high publicity, if I could get it out, case, and they're being forced to come out in the open. Wow. Wow. Talk about unfair. I mean, imagine if it was you. It would be horribly, horribly scary. And what do you guys think about Judge Boyce? Do you think he's doing a good job? Do you think he's being fair? Do you think he's right or wrong? I think Judge Boyce is struggling. That's what I think. I'm really rooting for the families right now. Right now, families are the ones suffering the most. Get you guys an attorney. That's what I say. Meanwhile, I guess the courts keep sloppily manipulating their way through this high-profile case. Please share some comments below. I want to share your comments on this topic. The fact that the death penalty has been, well, it's taken off the table in another video. I'm in a hurry today, guys. I've got to go. I love you. Lots of hugs.